The Israeli military says its special forces have intercepted a shipment of medium-range missiles near Sudan that it says were intended for Gaza. The Israelis are showing pictures and video of the find inside a civilian cargo ship flying under a Panamanian flag. Now, here's where the story gets a bit complicated. The Israeli military says, according to Israeli intelligence, the missiles actually originated in Syria, were flown from Damascus into Iran, then were headed to Sudan and would have eventually been taken by land through the Sinai Peninsula and unloaded in Gaza. They say they discovered dozens of M302 missiles. Some of those weapons have a range of 200 kilometers. That's more than 100 miles, which means they could potentially hit Jerusalem. The Israeli military says bags of powdered concrete stamped "Made in Iran" were piled around the missiles. It says the strange course the missiles traveled and the concrete are an indication that Iran was doing its best to conceal its involvement in the shipment to Gaza, where there are several groups operating, including the government, which have been deemed terrorist organizations by Israel, the United States, and the UAE, among others. Israel says this is not the first seizure of weapons from Iran intended for use against Israel, though it is unusual that the weapons came out of Syria considering the ongoing war that is going on there. The Israeli Prime Minister is in the U.S. and on an official trip and spoke about his military's latest seizure.
Israel captured a ship on the high seas stocked with weapons destined for terrorist groups. These weapons were going to be used against Israel. The entire operation, this clandestine operation, was organized by Iran. While Iran is conducting these talks, smiling to the international community, it continues to arm terrorist groups, continues to perpetrate terrorism around the world. Such an outlaw regime must not be allowed to have the means to make atomic bombs.
Now, Iran has long denied it is working on nuclear weaponry. The timing of all this is interesting because, as Mr. Netanyahu mentioned, the seizure of weapons happens as Iran and the West are in the midst of trying to hammer out a permanent agreement on Iran's nuclear program. Israel has said this is the time to put more pressure on Iran, not less, and has been a vocal opponent of the details of the interim agreement that eased sanctions on Iran in exchange for more inspections and other restrictions on Iran's nuclear program. And that is the latest on the story. Sarah Sider, CNN, reporting from Abu Dhabi.